Hey guys, and welcome to another classic hardcore gold making video. In this one, I'm going to be showing you the best gold farms from level 1 all the way up to level 60. Let's get right into it. Before we do, I'd like to mention that I have a gold guide for classic. Now this will work with hardcore, era, and any fresh servers that come out in the future. And if you want to check that out, it'll be the first link down below in the description box. I'd just like to say a huge thank you to everyone that has gotten it recently. It really means a lot. However, let's get right into this video. So starting off, about from like 1 to 12, there's no crazy farms. However, at level 12, you can start farming light feathers. Now, light feathers are used from mages and priests. So for mages for slow fall and priests for levitate. And there's two locations for this. There's a location on the aligned side right here in Westward, and you want to kill these birds right here, the flesh reapers. And then for the aligned spot, it is right here, and you'll find a whole heap of these harpies. These are a little bit higher level, and there is a lot of them. You probably want to be around level 15 for the horde side and level 12 plus for the aligned side. Moving on to the next farm, which is about level 22 plus, is this spot right here. And now you're going to be farming elemental fire here. Now this is the lowest level elemental fire farm in the entire game. The drop chance is kind of low, but for the level, it is the best spot to farm elemental fire. Moving on to level 25 plus is the tiny crimson whelping farm. Now you also will get small flame sacks, and if you have skinning, you'll be also be able to skin them for their leathers and hides. So this is located right here in wetlands, and you want to be killing these little whelpings, these red whelpings. They pretty much look like the tiny crimson whelping pet. The tiny crimson whelping pet sells for a lot on the auction house. Moving on to the next farm, it is a elemental earth farm right here in 1000 needles, and I would recommend being at least level 28 plus before you come and do this farm. And you're going to be killing these guys right here, the thundering boulder king. So these guys right here, they also are the lowest spot in the game to actually farm elemental earth, and you will have to be about level 28 plus to do this. Now moving on to elemental water, this is the lowest level spot for elemental water in the game. This is also in 1000 needles, just at the lake right here, just down from the other location. And this is also, I would recommend being at least level 28 plus to come and do this farm. You can make a lot of gold from the elemental water from this location. Moving on to the next farm, which is another whelping farm. So this is the tiny emerald whelping, and this is located right here in Swamp of Sorrows. And I would recommend being about level 35 plus before you come and do this farm. Now skinning will increase the amount of gold you actually make from this farm. So I would recommend having skinning when you're doing this farm if you want to optimize fully. Now moving on to a raw gold farm, this is at level 38, and you will head down here to this location that I'm showing on the screen. Now when you're here, you'll be killing these Eye of Basilisk, and these have 4 items that vend up for a lot of silver. And this is a good spot to come at like level 38 to 40. If you are a bit short on your mount, you can make some raw gold, and then you can buy your level 40 mount very easily. So while you're also just below level 40, there is the next spot for farming elementals. So they have a bit better drop chance than the low level ones, and you can actually farm all 4 of the elementals here. So this is the first location where you actually farm elemental water. These guys, you do have to make sure if you're a mage that you're using not water spells. Moving on to the next location, this is where you're going to find the air, so the elemental air, and then they also have the elemental fire. Now these ones, elemental fire is used to create the greater fire protection potion, which is used in MC. So early game, I'm pretty sure the elemental fire will be the most valuable and the best one to farm out of the 4 elementals. However, there is still one more elemental, which is the elemental earth, which is just down on the south side, and you can also AoE farm these guys. They only hit with melee, but they do have a knockdown like stun thing that you do have to be careful for, as you can see in the clip right now. But these guys drop the elemental earth. and you can also get a whole heap of greens that maybe will be worth selling on the auction house. So moving up to level 40 plus, this is the dark whelping farm. So this is right here, and you will be farming the searing whelps. Now these guys have a chance to drop the dark whelping, which will sell for a lot on the auction house. Plus, if you have skinning, you can skin them for their leathers, and you also get small flame sacks of those guys. Now moving on to a really good elemental fire farm. So this is right here in Searing Gorge. You'll be farming the blazing elementals. Now these guys have a good drop chance for the elemental fire. Not the best drop chance in the game, but for level 45, definitely the best drop chance in the game. It's a lot better than the level 21. Now moving on to level 50, and this is going to be a golden pearl farm. So you want to head over to Azara, to this location right here, and you'll find like these guys along the beach. As you can see, they all have a chance of dropping the big mouth clam, and then inside of the big mouth clams you have a chance of getting the golden pearls plus like 4 other different pearls, but the main gold will come from the golden pearls. These are used in a lot of high-end professions like enchants and crafts, and they always sell for a lot of gold in all versions of Classic. Now moving on to another golden pearl farm. Now this is one that I prefer to do. This is the turtles in Tarneus, right down the bottom, and there's a spot where you can actually get the whole location to yourself. It's like a secret little hidey hole of a whole heap of turtles. So as you can see, they start from around level 50 and they go all the way up to like level 55. I would recommend being at least level 50 before you come and do this farm. Now why I really like this to farm is because they only hit with melee. They're very slow, and if you're a mage or a class that can do some good AoE kiting and just AoE pulls, you will love this spot. You can also actually skin these guys for a bit of extra gold, and it's a great spot to actually farm from like level 50 all the way up to level 60 combat, finishing off your last 10 levels at this location. Moving on, now this is the spiders in Plaguelands, and this is going to be at least level 55 plus before you come and do this. Now these guys, they drop a whole heap of different silks, which all sell for a lot of gold and are used in a bunch of things, so as you can see right here. And then also the huge venom sacks also sell pretty good on the auction house. These guys, they don't have any crazy moves. They do just hit with melee, so if you have a class that can kite, you'll be 100% safe here pulling big mobs, and they'll just never catch up to you. It's a pretty good farm to do once you get to like level 55, or even at level 60. You can come back here and you can farm some of these silks and make a decent amount of gold from this farm. Moving on to the next farm, which is also a level 55 plus farm, and this is the actual best spot to farm elemental fire in the game. Now you also will get essence of fire from this farming location, and this is right in the center of a Gruul crater. So you'll be farming the scorching elementals for both of those drops. They also drop some decent gear, BOE gear, that you can sell on the auction house because they are at like level 53 up to like 55. Now moving on to the best spot for elemental earth. Now this is down in Silithus. You'll be farming elemental earth and essence of earth. I would recommend being at least level 57 before doing this farm, just to be safe, especially if you're doing this on hardcore. Now these guys have a very good drop chance for the elemental earth, and they're very easy to actually farm. They only hit with melee, so if you have a class that can kite well, you will have a really good time here. Also classes that can do AoE, you can AoE these guys down also. Now moving on to level 60 farms. So the first one that I'm going to be showing you is the farm for the Formula Enchant Weapon Crusader. So Crusader is a enchant that pretty much all melee classes will want to have. It gives them increased strength, and it also has a chance of healing on attack. This is one of the best enchants in the game, and so people pay a lot of gold from this. Now to actually farm this, you'll be killing the guys at this tower. You want to be focused on the Scarlet Spellbinders. They're the ones that have a chance of dropping it. So basically the mages at this tower, they will be the ones that can actually drop it, and it's a 0.5% chance. So in average, every 200 kills you should be able to see a Crusader formula drop from these guys. Moving on to a more steady farm, and this is in Solithus, and this is for the encrypted Twilight text. Now this can be sold on the auction house, and it's actually used to buy reputation in Solithus. So people pay a lot of gold for this. This is a really good gold maker in error, because people have more gold than time, so they just prefer to buy the encrypted Twilight text and get their reputation that way. Now these will also sell really good in hardcore, and you should be able to make a lot of gold. I would recommend being at least level 60 before you come and do this farm, because they are level 60 themselves. Just to be careful, especially if you're playing hardcore, you do not want to die while you're gold farming. So just make sure you have decent gear and are at least level 60 before coming and doing the encrypted Twilight text farm in Solithus. Moving on to a more harder farm. Now this is, you definitely need to be very geared to do this, because you're going to be fighting elites. Now mages and classes that can kite do this farm the best, and you're going to be farming the mature blue dragon sinew, which can sell on the auction house. Now this is used to make the best quiver for hunters in the game. So people will pay a lot of gold for the mature blue dragon sinew, and what you want to do is farm these elite guys right here in Winter Spring, and you're going to be pretty much kiting them. I wouldn't recommend coming here if you don't have a class that can kite, unless you come here with a group of people or you and a healer. Because these mobs are elite, they can do a lot of damage, and a lot of people in hardcore farming this will end up dying. I'm sure of it. A lot of hunters that want to farm out their quiver will come here and probably lose their hardcore characters. I found the best class to do this with would definitely be a frost mage, just because you can kite forever and works really good. Now there are some mobs that cast, so you just want to stick to the melee ones and not the ones that can actually cast. Moving on to the final farm. Now this is another elite farm, and it's also in Winter Spring, and it's right down the bottom. We're going to be farming for the Eye of Shadow. Now the Eye of Shadow is actually used to create, I believe it's the priest best in slot staff, a really good staff. I think it's called Benediction, and you'll be farming the Eye of Shadow off these big guys right here. They have a low chance of dropping them, just like the other ones. You will want a class that can kite if you're doing this solo, so frost mages work the absolute best for doing this farm. As you can see, you can just kite them forever and ever, slow them, make sure you don't take any damage, and you should be pretty safe doing this farm. But they are elite, so if you run out of mana, or for whatever reason they catch up to you, they could probably kill you very quickly. Now you could come here with a healer and 1 DPS, and you guys could go split on the gold once the Eye of Shadow actually sells. This is a great farm to do, and it will be worth a lot of gold, the Eye of Shadow. However guys, this was the last farm, so there are the best farms I recommend for 1 to 60 to make a decent amount of gold. Now if you would like to learn the secrets of making gold in Classic WoW, you can check out my complete gold making guide, which will teach you everything I know about making gold in Classic. Now this works for hardcore, era, and any fresh servers that come to us in the future. It's got all the information you need to know, from the best classes, the best professions, the best gold farms, other secret methods of making a lot of gold, and you'll find all of that inside of the complete gold making guide for Classic. Until the next one guys, take care.